This podcast is brought to you by the Islamic Center and NYU. For more information, visit our website at www.icnyu.org.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the universe, the master of the day of judgment. I bear witness and testimony to the oneness of Allah, to His magnificence, His omnipotence, His might, His glory, to His being the creator and sustainer of all things, the giver of life, the guider of hearts, the master of the day of judgment. I bear witness to the fact that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is a servant and final messenger. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and upon all those who choose to tread in his path until the last day. It is said within the Adamic narrative of creation that when Allah Azza wa Jal commanded everything in the heavens to prostrate to Adam, peace be upon him, all those who dwelled therein in paradise answered this command save Iblis. Where Iblis responds to Allah Azza wa Jal that I am of fire and he is of dirt, that essentially where I am from makes me better than where he is from. Why would I debase myself in this way? And this moment becomes a critical moment that we can draw a multitude of understandings and principles from. But fundamentally, as the conversation moves forward, Iblis is now given opportunity by Allah Azza wa Jal in his deep animosity, his angst towards mankind, humanity, to be a source that is adversarial until the end of time. May Allah protect us from the waswasa of shaitan. And when that opportunity is given to him, Iblis, he not only says to Allah Azza wa Jal that I will sway them, I will tempt them, take them off of that course. He says that I will make sure that they are not grateful. Gratitude gets thrown a lot around, especially at this time of year. But within common parlance and rhetoric, it becomes that much more utilized in the prism of the days we see ourselves in as people try to reconcile how it is that they find meaning and happiness. And our tradition deeply embeds within it the utilization of gratitude as a tool to modify vision around challenge that comes in front of us. It becomes now a basis of perspective. And you want to be able to extrapolate more than just stories that are rotely memorized, but to think about what this means within the narrative that we started this conversation with. Because the challenge that is rooted within the Adamic narrative creation that Iblis now introduces is fundamentally a challenge of perspective. Everything in the heavens sees Adam alayhi salam a certain way, but they also understand their relationship to God in a certain way. And Iblis now sees what everybody else sees, but he sees it differently. He has perspective that is subjective, but his perspective is flawed. And he's introducing now an opportunity to not get you to do things that are just one-off actions. To be in a sphere of existence where your focal point is, I can't believe that I made this mistake again. But the deepening of the mindset that comes from that is not just, I did the act that is problematic. Where Iblis is getting you is to impact your perspective of God, that you believe that what you did that was wrong is greater than God's mercy. That when you have conversations with friends, people around you that you see day to day, individuals that you have a deep love with and you have difficulty in resolving conflict, it's a matter of perspective. You're not able to see where somebody else comes from. And he's telling you straight up in the Quran that he's going to make sure the way that you are swayed is by making you ungrateful. Because it's the deepest variable of impact on perspective. And if you can see the world through a prism of negativity, you can see it now devoid of blessing and bounty. You can see it now in a way where you don't see what is actual, but what you perceive, and you convince yourself that it is reality. You're not going to be able to then move forward with the strength, the confidence, the esteem that only a thing like gratitude can give you. Because Adam alayhi salam, he has enough confidence to be able to turn back to Allah and say that I did something that I wasn't supposed to do. But Iblis just doubles down again and again and again. It becomes about perspective. A lot of us probably know a short chapter in the last juz of the Quran that's called Surah Al-Adiyat. And in this chapter, Allah talks about this thing of ingratitude. And we want to understand what gratitude is within our tradition. Principally, you can deepen an understanding of what something is by recognizing what it is that it's not. And so in this surah, he's taking oath by multiple oaths by horses, by steeds. وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا, he starts. That the horses, as they're running to a place where they're panting, they're out of breath. In Arabic, the word urduwan has the same root as adiyat. And urduwan is somebody who transgresses limits set in front of them, that they're pushing boundaries that they're not supposed to. The adiyat is a horse that is moving so fast, it's going against any limit that's placed upon it. Dabha, it's just panting and breathing heavily so that you can create a vivid picture in your head. وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا, the horses, they're pushing themselves past their limits. فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدْحًا, it gives an indication of their hooves hitting against the ground. Etymologically, it's sharing a root. Where, like, if you take a match and you light a match, and the spark that comes from the match, that's the same image of this second oath. That the horses, they're creating electricity as their hooves are just hitting against the earth. They're moving so fast. وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدْحًا فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ صُبْحًا. They're the ones that they're attacking in the morning. They're coming at you when you can see them. They're not catching you by surprise. They're so confident in pursuit of their objective that in broad daylight, they're going to come and they're coming for whatever it is that they're in pursuit of. فَأَثَرْنَ بِهِ نَكَعًا, that their nostrils are blowing out dust. Dust is blowing all around them. فَوَسَطْنَ بِهِ جَمْعًا, and they're arriving now in the middle of the gathering. And just picture this. And picture it in the context of an Arabian Mecca, where the verses are being told to people and they're hearing it for the first time. Don't think about what it means to you, because most of you have probably never seen a horse in your life. But think about what it means to a civilization where horses are now considered a prime commodity. And the verses are creating now this amazing imagery. If you've ever seen a movie that has a battle scene where there is on one side of a opposition a small group of people, and the protagonist of the film is riling them up to go and take one last charge. That's what these verses are doing. The people are hearing them. They're getting the picture of these animals doing exactly what their rider is telling them to do. Into the thick and midst of it, moving at this immense speed. Electricity bouncing off of their feet with no fear in broad daylight. The dust is kicking up all around them. And they go right into the middle of whatever it is that they're going at. And then after Allah creates that deep, vivid description, He says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لِرَبِّهِ لَكَنُودٌ. That indeed, man towards his Lord is kanud, ungrateful. The attention now creates an opportunity for listening at a deep level. The word kanud is distinct from the word kufr, which also means ingratitude in Arabic. That to be kafir is not just to be one who is without iman, but it's to be one who is without thanks. And the word kanud, the mufassirin, they say it has three meanings to it. One, somebody is kanud when all they see is hardship, but they don't ever see bounty. You only see what is difficult, what is a challenge. And you fail to see what is a blessing, what is a ni'mah. It doesn't mean that there's not hardship in people's lives. We are not a people that are meant to live devoid of reality. And that's what religion can turn into quite often. A bunch of platitudes that somebody comes with real struggle and we say, just put your trust in God, have faith in God. This is a test from God. That's not what this verse is saying. The opportunity to be able to sit down and think deliberately about what do I have that is an actual blessing? Who are the people that are in my life that I'm actually thankful and grateful for? Who is somebody that I've never properly said thank you to in my life? إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لِرَبِّهِ لَكَنُودٌ. That the first definition of one who is kanud is somebody who only sees what is lacking and not necessarily what is there. The second definition of kanud is one who recognizes the gift, the blessing, but doesn't use it in the way that it was intended to be used. In a way that's other than the one who gave it to you wanted you to use it. You can think about this in terms of material objects that you have. Did somebody give you that phone so that you could use it in the way that you use it? Did somebody give you that computer so you could use it in the way that you use it? When somebody gave you your car or let you borrow their car, was it so that you could do the things with it that you're doing with it? Or were you given your intellect so that you could use it the way that you use it? Were you given all of your good qualities, your great characteristics, so that you could use them in the ways that you're using them? And misuse isn't just that I took my phone and I did something problematic with it. Misuse is also you have a gift and you don't use it at all. You don't use your strength. You don't use your youth. You don't use your skills. Somebody else is the one that's holding the door open. Somebody else is the one that's giving up their seat. Somebody else is the one that's serving food. Somebody else is the one that's vacuuming and doing the laundry. Somebody else is doing what I have full capacity and ability to do. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لِرَبِّهِ لَكَنُودٌ. Indeed, man towards his Lord is ungrateful. You have beauty. It can be intimidating to embrace the fact that I can be a catalyst and agent of benefit. And it makes it easier to live in such a way where mindfulness is not pursued in the utilization of the strengths and skills that I've been given. But definition number 2, he says, and the Mufassirin, they say, is that you are kanud if you misuse the gift. You're not using it in the way that it was intended to be used. And then the third definition of kanud is that you recognize the gift. You recognize the blessing. You recognize all of it. You even use it. But you don't recognize the one that gave it to you. You pay no mind to what it was that had to happen for you to have what it is that you have in the first place. The embodiment of those things can give us an understanding of how we can get closer to embracing gratitude by saying that these are things that I don't want to have in my life. When you get older, you don't want to be the person that doesn't say thank you to people. You don't want to forget the people who did so much for you. Your tongue should be wet with the expression of thanks. If you've gone a day, a week, a month, a year without saying thank you, not just to random people who it's easier to say thank you to, but to people that you see every day in your life. Before I got married, I lived in New York City by myself for a long period of time. And many of you are born into Muslim families, some of you are not. But in my home, growing up in a Muslim family, Ramadan was a very unique experience in that my mother used to wake up before all of us, would make food for us for suhoor. After we had eaten, she would eat a little bit. We'd pray Fajr together, and then she'd stay up to read Quran, and we'd go back to sleep, my brother, my sister, and I. And then she'd spend a good chunk of the day making something for us to eat to break our fast on later. When I was living in New York by myself before I got married, my ability to get up for suhoor, let alone have something substantive at that point in time, was non-existent. I would maybe drink some water, eat some Captain Crunch or something, and every part of me was like, man, my mother was amazing. I used to write a daily op-ed for the Huffington Post in Ramadan, a Ramadan reflection series. And one night at 2 a.m, I'm sitting in my apartment realizing that I don't know how to take care of myself. And thank God the woman that was my mother was my mother. And I wrote an entire article that was just saying thank you to my mother. And within it, I expressed thanks for how she supported me in so many things as I was a young person. How she embraced my then fiance, Priya, who's now my wife and the mother of our 2 children. How she never pushed me to do things that most South Asian parents push their children to do. I didn't have to be a doctor. I didn't have to be an engineer or a lawyer. No offense to those of you who are in that situation. Allah make it easy for you. And sentence after sentence that was just deepening my focus on just how grateful I was for this woman who's done so much for me and continues to. That even today, I can go to any part of the world and she'll still call me and say, are you sleeping enough? Are you eating well? And I ended the letter by telling her that I love her and thanking her for being the amazing person that she is. And even as I talk about it now, just remembering that moment, I have to keep the tears from coming out of my eyes. And when I published it, it went up online, and the next day I had thousands of people reading this all over the world. And I got messages from people from everywhere saying we read this and it made us feel closer to our mothers or other people, and thank you for writing it. Then my sister called me and she said, Mom is reading what you wrote and she's sitting here crying. You did a good job in writing it. A couple of years before COVID, I sat with one of our alumni and she was talking to me about how it's just hard to find meaning and difficulty and tiredness she's carrying inside of her. And I said, you should keep a gratitude journal and you should write thank you letters to people you haven't thanked. And I gave her this same example as I just gave to you about this letter I wrote to my mother. And in the middle of the conversation, I stopped and she's looking at me and everything okay? And I said, you know what's crazy? I wrote this thing and it definitely moved me. And so many people around the world read it and they told me how moving it was for them. And I even know for a fact that my mother read it and she was moved by it. I still have never gone and said thank you face to face to my mother. And I said to that person, why do you think that is? Why is that so hard to do? Things like that should not be hard. The verse in the Quran, it says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ, that you remember me and I will remember you, and be grateful to me and do not be ungrateful. It's a deliberate act that increases us in things that are good. But you can't get from it what you can only attain by doing it. A lot of you are going to be going home next week because it's a long weekend. You have an opportunity to be with people that you typically are not with in the course of the last months. And within that, there's opportunity. Some of us come from difficult lived experiences. May Allah make it easy for you. I'm not denying that. Some of us have family that is not supportive. Some of us have parents that are not good parents. May Allah make it easy for us. But there's some of us who also go day upon day without expressing now. And the biggest loss is going to come back to the individual heart. Because if you can go so long without saying thank you to somebody who's doing something for you, that's not telling you about that person. That's telling you a lot about yourself. You spend some time on this day of Jummah and you think about who has done for you in ways that have allowed for you to move forward that you have never properly thanked before. Our tradition, it builds this in, where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gives to us across distinct legal schools and theological schools recommendations on different du'as and adhkar that you sit down at the conclusion of your prayer in the course of your day, and you're just praising God, you're glorifying God, you're proclaiming God's greatness. But you sit down and you attach meaning to it. Why are you saying Alhamdulillah? And let your heart be open to it. I had a student that drove with me once to a lecture I was giving pre-COVID in Massachusetts, and she was from Malaysia. And the whole time we're driving, she's really quiet. She's just staring out the window. And I'm a pretty obnoxious person, so I said to her, "Geez, you don't like me? You don't want to talk to me?" And she said, "No, it's not that." And I said, "Then what?" And she said, "Where I come from in Malaysia, we don't have seasons. Everything is pretty much the same the whole year round. I've never seen the leaves change on a tree like this. I never experience different things at different times of the year." In my head, I said, wow, subhanAllah. The same thing that I've been looking at for so long. But she perceives it differently and helps me now to deepen in my perspective. If you can harness the skill that is increasing gratitude, the world is going to look like a totally different place. It doesn't mean that things will not be hard, but how you see what is hard is what's going to change. The fundamental flaw in Iblis within the Adamic narrative is a flaw of perception. It introduces now a distinct darkness that has transcended centuries of human existence. You want to be able to see things through a prism of that kind of positivity. You don't get into your head. Self-deprecation is not going to lend itself towards a goal that is going to be uplifting and empowering. But you give yourself daily opportunity to just take some time to sit and think. And it breaks now a perpetual darkness, shadows that overwhelm perspective. And if you don't have that and you're in a place that feels good, go and feel better. If people think it's strange or it's abnormal, you thank the security guard in your building. You thank the people who serve you food in the dining halls. How many professors do you think at this university, TAs, grad students, have taught class after class after class, and all they've gotten, if anything, is grief from their students? You can thank your professors by doing the work you're supposed to do. But you also can just go up to them and say, thank you for teaching us this class. For putting in the time to share what it is that you know. And it's going to be your heart that's going to feel different through every interaction that's rooted in that way. Our Prophet ﷺ, he didn't hesitate in letting the people around him know that they were those that he valued. And there's a gain now for the recipient to hear that there's value to them. But the conveyor of gratitude also gets to recognize that there are things in my life of value as well. And then it's not surprising that he would smile at everyone that he would greet. And he didn't hesitate in greeting those who came from any background, not just those who, when he extended a hand, it was matching a hand in skin color, race, or social class. It wasn't hard for him to give to others when he didn't have so much for himself. To tell the people in his life who are important to him that he loves them. It's a simple thing that has a transformational aspect within our spiritual tradition. I couldn't tell you why, but that's not my job. Allah has embedded within this as a practice, an opportunity for hearts to now have deeper vision. We sit after this Jummah prayer, make dua for those that you are grateful for. When you have time in the barakah of the day, let yourself be deliberate in contemplating, writing, journaling about those things you have gratitude for, the people that you haven't thanked, and go and thank them with deep sincerity. The gain in and of itself is going to be more for you than anyone else. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. Next week, we will not be having a Jummah prayer here. The university is going to be closed. There'll be an early dismissal in the middle of the week, and the buildings and facilities on campus will be shut on Thursday and Friday through the weekend. So for those of you who are looking for a place to pray or need anything else at all, please let us know, and we'll be happy to help direct you towards other spaces and provide accommodations as best as we can. After we're done with prayers for today, please be mindful that those who follow Jafri Fiqh, they will be praying Dhuhrain immediately after we're done. And then we'll be having lunch in the park behind Boast. So please do join us for that. Likely might be one of the last lunches we have as the weather is getting a little bit colder. And so it'd be great to be able to share some of that time with you all, and you all sharing that time with each other as well. Tonight at 5 o'clock, Sheikh Suhaib and I will be doing a halaqah at Brooklyn, the Tandon campus that all of you are invited to attend. And the BMI, the Black Muslim Initiative, will be having a game night here at 6:30 tonight. That you're all also welcome to attend as well. And tomorrow, inshallah, I'm going to be taking students to Brooklyn to bowl. If you'd like to join in on that, please see myself or Amira before you leave today, just so we can make reservations. We already have a lot of people that are coming. It'd be a great way, again, as the break is coming up and finals are coming, to have a de-stressor and spend time with each other. But we'd love to see you there, inshallah. And just lastly, wanted to give an update. Our brother Ayman, who many of you know, has been hospitalized. He was intubated this past week. He had a surgery earlier in the week. And so right now, because of that, he's been moved to the ICU and isn't able to take visitors. When he's in a more stable condition again, inshallah, we'll let you all know about visitors and the policies that are there. Please do keep him in your prayers, his family in your prayers as well. It's very easy after a first week or two, somebody experiences loss, somebody goes through something devastating or traumatic, to forget about what that is, right? But ours is not a tradition of forgetfulness. Ours is a tradition of remembrance. You know, may Allah make us from the Dhakirin. We're supposed to be those who don't just move forward in a way that leaves behind those who are important to us. And so this is your brother who goes to school with you. Many of you might not have had a deep relationship with him, but just weeks ago, he was praying in this Jummah prayer with all of us. And so you make dua for him, you remember his family in your prayers. We'll keep you all updated on his condition. Inshallah, Allah grants him a complete healing and shifa. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وفي الآخرين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين. We begin this supplication in your name, Ya Allah, and beseech you to send your choicest salutations upon your most beloved, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. We ask that you shower your infinite mercy upon this gathering, granting each and every one who is present herein and our loved ones only the best in this world and the best in the next. We ask, Ya Allah, that if all of us are meant to be together only at this time, at this place, whether we are young or old, male or female, regardless of our race, our ethnicity, our social class, our country of origin, our cultural heritage, whether we are Muslim or come from a different walk of life, Ya Rabbi, if our individual hearts are meant to be in the presence of all other hearts that are gathered here only at this time, at this place, and gather us all together again in the best of places in the world beyond this one. Increase us, Ya Allah, in all that is good. Make us from amongst those who benefit from sound reflection and contemplation and understand everything that you have given to us in terms of blessings and bounties. Help us to overcome whatever it is that exists within us that keeps us from expressing gratitude, love, compassion, and mercy into this world that is sorely in need of it. Make us like your messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and help us to adopt his way outwardly and inwardly. Make us those who let those that are important to us know, in fact, how important they are to us. Those that have done for us, make us those who express gratitude towards them. And help us, Ya Rabbi, to be from amongst the Shakireen, those who always show thankfulness to you. Make us those, Ya Allah, who recognize every skill, every strength, every talent that you have given to us, every gift that we possess. And those who only use all that you have given to us in a way that you intended for us to use it. Forgive us when we make mistakes. Forgive us when we compel others towards things that are not pleasing to you. Forgive us when we forget. And send us those who will be the best of our supporters and helpers to help us get back up after we have fallen down. Bless these young people, Ya Allah, in all of their ambitions and endeavors. Put barakah into their studies and grant them the sincerest of intentions so that they fulfill a pursuit of success both in this world and in the next. As they move into the latter part of this semester, grant them ease in all of their examinations, their papers, their projects. Strengthen their minds and their hearts, and make it easy for them to understand everything that is coming to them in the form of instruction. And where they find themselves in any space of difficulty or in any moment of aloneness, help them to be there for each other in the best of ways, Ya Allah, and to never be a reason that any one of them feels alone. Let not any one of these young people ever feel unloved, Ya Rabbi. And help them to always feel the presence of your mercy, of your love, wherever it is that they might go. Protect us always from hearts that are not humble, tongues that are not wise, and eyes that have forgotten how to cry. Forgive us for our shortcomings and guide and bless us all. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وأقيموا الصلاة.
If you would like to listen to more, please donate to www.icnyu.org/donate. For more of our virtual programs, go to www.icnyu.org/classes. If you have any questions, email us at info@icnyu.org.